Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time stopping by, my name's Heather, and today I'm going to be doing another video in my Cooking with Mickey series. Today we're going to be making Walt's very own personal recipe of his chili and beans. It is a nice cool day here, probably the last cool day that we will have here in the South, so we wanted to go ahead and start making this chili to give it a try to see how his recipe is. If you're new to the series, this is the recipe book that I am using. I will be uploading one recipe from this book every single month. And like I said, this month is Walt Disney's own chili and beans recipe, his own personal recipe. That's pretty exciting. I'm excited to start cooking this. And what you're gonna be seeing me make today will be modified slightly because we're going to be making half the recipe. We're gonna be cutting it in half. We only want it for one night, so we're cutting it down just a little bit, and if there are any further modifications, I will let you know as we are going along. So let's go ahead and get started. But before we do that, if you've not yet subscribed, please take a second to do that. Like this video if you are excited about this series. This is only video 2 in the series, but I plan on doing it throughout the entire year of 2020. So if you're excited about it and you want to see more recipes, make sure to give it a thumbs up and then check below for the playlist. I will update the playlist every single month. So if you've missed any, go ahead and check this playlist and see what you've missed so far. Let's go ahead and get cooking with Mickey. Here is an overview of what the recipe actually looks like. If you see, it calls for 2 pounds of pink dry beans. Now, our store did not have those, and because of trying to stay in public as limited as possible, we could only find them in a can. So we have to skip this entire section of washing and sorting the beans and soaking them overnight. We actually are going to go ahead and start doing the sliced onions in the oil with the garlic and the celery to get them a little bit tender, and then we are going to follow through with the recipe. So we are starting to heat up the oil. Now the recipe does call for 1/4 cup of oil, and we have reduced that to half. The recipe calls for 2 onions, and we are just going to be using 1. It does call for them to be sliced, which is a little odd, but it does call for them to be sliced, and so that's just a little bit weird, but we're going to trust you, Walt, and we're going to make your recipe. It also calls for a 1/2 cup of diced celery, so we're going to go ahead and let this simmer down a little bit. So first modification for the first time in probably a long time, I don't have fresh garlic, so we're going to use this, but I am going to wait until the onion and the celery sweats out a little bit so that doesn't get burnt, because I want it to have a big robust flavor. I don't want the garlic to get burnt and start tasting really weird and make everything else taste funny. So we're gonna let this hang out, sweat out a little bit, and as soon as it starts cooking really good, I will add the garlic and we will go on to the next step. All right, it's looking much more tender, so I'm gonna go ahead and add the garlic. It actually calls for 2 cloves diced. I don't have that, so I'm just gonna go in with about a teaspoonful and see how that goes. I think that would be okay. Like I said before, we did not have the dry beans, so we are gonna go in with a can of these pinto beans. They're still pink. They are just in a can. They have been drained. So we're gonna add that. And then I'm gonna go in with a can of diced tomatoes with the juice. There's a stem or something right there. Bad tomato ejecto. This smells so good already, just like it is. So we're gonna go with a 1/2 teaspoon of thyme, a 1/2 teaspoon of paprika, a 1/2 teaspoon of chili powder. I'm just gonna mix all of that in. It was so funny. I was concerned with those onions being sliced because I typically dice mine like a thick, chunky dice. I really like the way they look being in the slices. It looks really nice. It's very pretty. Also, I put green bell pepper in my chili, so putting celery in it's going to give it a different taste instead of pepper. So I'm very excited to see what this tastes like. The recipe calls for 2 pounds of lean ground beef, but we have a pound already pre-cooked because we like to cook meat for different things in advance. So I'm just going to be adding this. So it's a little bit more fast-tracked than it would be if you made this full recipe. If you're making it with the beans, expect to cook those for at least 2 hours and soak your beans overnight, the night beforehand. So like I said, this is a little bit modified. We're using the exact same ingredients, just the order and process is a little bit more fast-tracked. So this is a meal if you prepped ahead of time, and if you use those canned beans, you could have this on your dinner table within 30 minutes. So once it's all put together here, I'm just going to give it a good stir, and then we're going to let it simmer for 20-30 minutes, and then we're going to come back and see what it looks like. This has simmered for like 30 minutes. Look how thick this is. It looks so good. It's not like overly runny. I mean, I think the consistency is just about perfect. I don't think I would want any more liquid in there than that. So I really think this recipe is spot on. The one thing I will mention is the recipe does call for salt and pepper. When I tasted it, after that last clip, I realized I didn't add salt and pepper, and I just pretty much done it to taste. So whatever your taste buds desire, that's what I would add, because there was no actual measurement for that. So here we go, guys. Moment of truth. Look how hearty and delicious this looks. I do like this recipe because I don't like to eat a lot of beans in my chili. I prefer, actually I prefer to put noodles in my chili, more like of a goulash type thing. So the fact that this did not have more beans than meat and vegetables and things like that kind of makes my heart a little bit happy. And I think this is going to be a go-to recipe for me. It's still a little bit too hot. It's like it's super steamy. So just giving it a second. Make sure I get a little bit of everything on here. Cheers. It's definitely not too spicy. So if you have stomach issues, or if you don't like really spicy chili, I think that you would like this recipe. I could stand it to be a little bit spicier, but I love that you can taste every single one of those flavors. And I really think I like the onions sliced versus the way that I do it. As we said when we were cooking it, we like the way it looked. And I think this will be a recipe that we make on a regular basis in the fall. I mean, it just smells so good and it tastes really good. It has a good flavor. I wouldn't say this is better than mine, but I'm a little bit biased. I've been making my chili since I was 18 years old, so I've been making it and I'm more accustomed to those flavors. But I have to say, this is absolutely amazing. This is perfect for like any fall evening or any spring evening that it's a little chilly outside. A little chilly. Or you could set your air conditioner to 62 degrees and you can have this for dinner and enjoy it any time of the year. It is that good. I'm really pleased with this. Like I said before, I will link all of the ingredients and the directions in the description box below. Make sure to check that out if you're interested in this recipe at all. Again, and this is Walt Disney's own personal recipe for chili. So if you are a fan of Walt Disney, I'm sure that you will absolutely love it, especially if you're a fan of chili. Again, we modified it by pre-cooking our meat, and we modified it by using canned beans versus fresh beans. I feel like the fresh beans would taste mighty fine, but it was great the way it was. So if you're not into cooking your beans and taking all of those longer steps, and you really are down to crunch time and you want to have dinner done pretty quickly, then there was absolutely nothing wrong with using canned beans. So I say put this on your menu, try it with your family, see if you like it, and see if you agree with me. That's gonna do it for this video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Thank you for cooking with me tonight. Let me know what you guys are having for dinner. I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.